I need you to think about the last time you played Red Dead Redemption 2. Not the missions, not the gunfights, not the horseback chases. I need you to think about that moment when you realized you were still donating to the camp fund, even though you knew it was pointless, even though you knew Dutch had lost his mind, even though you knew Arthur was dying. You kept clicking that ledger because some part of you still hoped it would matter. That moment? That's when you understood what Red Dead is really about. It's not about outlaws or redemption or the Wild West. It's about the psychology of building something you know you're going to lose, and why we do it anyway. From the very beginning, Red Dead feels like a game about survival. You hunt, you upgrade gear, you donate to camp, you grow the gang's resources. It's all working toward a future, right? But somewhere around Chapter 3, that future starts feeling shaky. You upgrade the camp's amenities, but people stop using them. You donate to the box and it goes nowhere. You try to save people who clearly can't be saved. Here's what's brilliant about this design. Most games reward investment. Build a base in Minecraft, it stays built. Level up in an RPG, you get stronger permanently. But Red Dead, it teaches you that investment doesn't guarantee return. It's preparing you for something most games never touch: the psychology of loss. Let me give you the exact moment I realized what this game was really doing. It's Chapter 4, Shady Belle. I'd just spent an hour hunting perfect pelts for Pearson's crafting table. Came back to camp excited to see what new gear I could make. But when I got there, Pearson was sitting alone, staring at nothing. No one was talking. Dutch was in his tent with the flap closed. The crafting table sat empty. That's when it hit me. I wasn't upgrading a thriving camp. I was decorating a mausoleum. Here's another one that'll haunt you. Remember that first time you donated $20 to the camp funds and watched Dutch's speech about one more big score? Remember how inspiring it felt? How you believed in the plan? Now think about the last time you used that ledger. I guarantee it wasn't because you believed anymore. It was because the muscle memory was still there, even after the faith had died. The game tracks this psychological decay in ways you probably didn't even notice. In Chapter 2, when you donate money, Dutch acknowledges it personally. Thank you, Arthur. This will help us all. But by Chapter 4, your donations barely register. Dutch is too busy with his schemes. The gang members stop thanking you. The camp upgrades sit unused. But the ledger is still there, still accepting your money, still pretending it matters. The game makes you perform the ritual of hope, even after hope is dead. Or consider this. Remember when you first unlocked fast travel from Arthur's tent? You probably thought, finally, convenience. But notice when you actually start using it. It's not when the camp is alive and worth returning to. It's when the camp becomes something you want to escape from. The game gives you an escape hatch right when staying becomes painful. These aren't accidents. Every system in Red Dead is designed to make you complicit in your own disappointment. Here's where it gets psychological. Arthur Morgan is the perfect protagonist for this kind of story because he's building two contradictory things simultaneously: his redemption and his grave. Think about how Arthur's character development works. Early game Arthur follows orders without question. He's Dutch's enforcer. Violence is just business. But as you play, as you make those small moral choices, Arthur starts questioning everything. You watch him struggle with Strauss's loan sharking missions. You see him hesitate before intimidating debtors. You feel him discovering his conscience. But here's the cruel genius. Arthur's moral awakening happens in direct proportion to his physical decline. The game literally makes you build his character arc on the foundation of his death sentence. Every good deed feels more precious because you know it's borrowed time. Every conversation with Jack hits harder because you know Arthur won't see him grow up. The game isn't just making you watch Arthur become a better man. It's making you fall in love with the man he's becoming, knowing you'll lose him right when he matters most. Red Dead gives you the illusion of control through incredible mechanical depth. You can customize everything: Arthur's hair, his weight, his clothes, his horse's bonding level, his honor rating, the camp's upgrades. It feels like you're authoring Arthur's story, but every choice funnels toward the same destination. High honor Arthur and low honor Arthur both end up in the same place. Fully upgraded camp and basic camp both get abandoned. The game lets you paint the walls of a burning house. And the most brilliant part, it makes you complicit in your own deception. You know, intellectually, that this is a prequel. You know John Marston's story. You know the gang doesn't make it, but the game systems are so engaging that you forget. You start believing Dutch's plans might actually work this time. You start thinking maybe Arthur can save everyone. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't a prequel where you know the ending. It's a tragedy where you become the protagonist who refuses to see the inevitable. The game turns you into the tragic hero. Arthur doesn't know he's in a prequel, and by chapter 3, neither do you. You're not watching Arthur make doomed choices. You're making them with him, believing they might work this time. This is what separates great tragedy from simple sadness. In Greek drama, the audience knows Oedipus will kill his father and marry his mother, but they still hope he won't. Red Dead creates the same dynamic through interactive media. You know Dutch's gang falls apart, but you still hope your camp upgrades will hold it together. You know Arthur doesn't appear in the first game, but you still hope your high honor choices will save him. Watch how the game subtly communicates this. In chapter 2, camp members request specific items. Arthur, can you get me some hair pomade? We need medicine for the camp. But by chapter 4, those requests stop coming. Not because the systems broke, but because the relationships did. The game doesn't need to tell you the gang is falling apart. It shows you by making your helpful gestures go unnoticed. Here's why Red Dead's approach is genuinely revolutionary. It's one of the first mainstream games to tackle anticipatory grief. That's the mourning you do for something you know you're going to lose. Most entertainment avoids this emotion because it's uncomfortable. Movies give you surprise deaths or happy endings. Books might kill characters, but usually for dramatic payoff. Video games especially avoid it because player investment is supposed to feel rewarding. But life doesn't work that way. We build relationships knowing they'll end. We invest in careers that won't last forever. We create homes we'll eventually leave. Red Dead mirrors this reality in a way that's both painful and profound. The game asks, if you knew your investment wouldn't pay off, would you still invest? If you knew your love wouldn't be returned, would you still love? If you knew your efforts wouldn't save anyone, would you still try? Arthur's answer, and the game forces it to be your answer too, is yes. This is where Red Dead becomes something more than entertainment. It becomes emotional education. The game teaches you how to grieve properly by making you practice. Think about your emotional journey playing this game. Chapter 1, hope and excitement. Chapter 2, joy and investment. Chapter 3, confidence and pride. Chapter 4, first doubts. Chapter 5, denial. Chapter 6, acceptance and profound sadness. That's not just a story arc, that's the 5 stages of grief, spread across 60+ hours of gameplay. The game doesn't just tell you about loss, it makes you live through the psychological process of losing something you care about. But here's what's genius about this approach. It doesn't feel manipulative because it mirrors real attachment. Think about any relationship or job or home you've ever had to leave. There's that moment when you first start noticing the cracks. Maybe your friend cancels plans more often. Maybe your workplace starts making budget cuts. Maybe your neighborhood begins changing. You see the signs, but you don't want to believe them. So you invest harder, you try to fix things, you double down on caring. That's exactly what Red Dead makes you do with the Van der Linde gang. The game shows you the warning signs, Micah's growing influence, Dutch's increasing paranoia, the failed jobs. But your emotional investment makes you ignore them, just like Arthur does. But there's something even more psychologically brutal at work here. The game exploits what psychologists call the sunk cost fallacy, the tendency to continue investing in something because of previously invested resources, even when it's clearly not working. You've spent 40 hours building this camp, forming these relationships, believing in this dream. Your brain literally cannot accept that it was all for nothing. So you keep playing, keep investing, keep hoping, even as everything crumbles around you. Red Dead doesn't just tell a tragic story, it makes you psychologically complicit in the tragedy. And here's the beautiful part. By the end, you understand Arthur completely. His loyalty to Dutch isn't stupidity, it's the same emotional investment you made in the camp upgrades. His refusal to abandon the gang isn't stubbornness, it's the same hope that kept you donating to that ledger long after it stopped mattering. The game makes you complicit in Arthur's choices by making you feel what he felt. You understand why people stay in situations they know are doomed, because you just did it for 60 hours. What makes Red Dead Redemption 2 a masterpiece isn't its graphics or its open world or its attention to detail, though all of those are exceptional. What makes it a masterpiece is that it changes how you think about investment and loss. After playing this game, you notice things differently. You pay attention to the moments before things end. You appreciate temporary beauty more deeply. You understand that the act of caring has value independent of outcome. Arthur's story teaches you that redemption isn't about changing your past or guaranteeing your future. It's about choosing to be good in the present moment, even when, especially when, that moment is all you have. The camp you built wasn't wasted because it got abandoned. It was meaningful because for a brief time it was home. Arthur's character growth wasn't pointless because he died. It was profound because he chose to grow anyway. Red Dead doesn't make you build because it wants to reward you. It makes you build because it wants to teach you the most important lesson about being human. That love and loss aren't opposites. They're the same thing, experienced from different angles. In the end, Red Dead Redemption 2 gives you something most games never dare to, a genuinely adult emotional experience. It treats you like someone capable of handling complex feelings, someone ready to learn that the most meaningful things in life are often the most temporary. It makes you build something you know you'll lose, because that's what life is. And learning to do it beautifully, that's what redemption looks like.